Hi, everyone, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I am a bereavement specialist. And it's good to see you, Susan.
Great to see you, Lisa. My name is Susan Capurso. I'm an end-of-life doula and legacy specialist. So today we're talking about something that we talk about a little bit in all our videos. Um, Something to do with advanced directives and wishes, what our loved ones would want, what we want ourselves before end of life, during, after. So we've had those videos before. We did one on the five wishes. We've had a couple videos before with attorneys who talk about advanced directives and writing things down and having open and honest conversations with your loved ones. But what we haven't dived into is a little bit deeper, not just talking about doing it, but talking about the relationships and the feelings and the depth of what's involved in honoring a person's wishes before, during, and after end of life. And the reason we chose to talk about this today is because, Lisa, you've had a couple close people in your life recently pass, and you've been in situations that you're seeing this up and close firsthand. And it's been bothering you a lot how families aren't honoring their loved ones' wishes. So, having said that, we're going to talk to you today about a couple different things. I'm going to step in later and tell you about some of my wishes. Oh, actually, so now they'll be on a public platform, Lisa, and my kids can go back and take a look at it so that they
Okay.
do know. Um, but yeah, so we have a couple different personal stories that we want to share with you today. So Lisa, I'm so sorry for your recent losses.
Thank you. So, two in the past week. Both have been spouses. One was a spouse of a cousin, and one was a spouse of a very dear friend that I've known for many, many, many years. I'll start out with the friend first because this person's wife has been sick on and off and back and forth in the hospital and back and forth at home, just deteriorating basically. I'm not, and they were in their 80s. I'm not sure how many conversations they had together, and I'm not even sure whether everything was written. But here's what I want to talk about: her wishes. So, at a certain point in the hospital, they knew she was not going to get better, and he knew that. And he comes to me and he tells me, I think we should do this. And I think she needs this. And I think, she'll have to do this. And I said to him, what does she want? It's her life and it's her death. And I said to him, what does she want? And has she made it clear to you? Oh, she wants to live. I said, listen, at this time where she is in her life, what has she specifically asked for? And so he stopped with the whole thing of, well, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to tell the doctor to do this, or whatever. And he said to me, you're right, Lisa. I'm going to speak to her. I said, does she understand where she is? Is she cognizant? Is she full faculty of what is going on? Yes. And so he did speak to her. And she did not want the palliative care that the doctors asked her to have or suggested that she have. She said to her husband, I'd like to fight this as long and stay alive as long as I can. Now, that was her decision. And he might have made that decision anyway. But the problem is, he was going to do something without making it clear and without having that important discussion. Okay. And so she did die. She died last week. He did do a pre-need, and he did it based on what she wanted. They had a plot. So at least he knew where she should be and what she wanted about that. Okay, that's one. Now let me tell you about the other cousin. So the other cousin, my first cousin, has been sick with ovarian cancer for 6 years now. She's a fighter. She's been amazing. She asked Sloan to keep her alive, especially for her granddaughter's bat mitzvah, which was in May. And we saw her. My family saw her in May, and I thought she was doing pretty well. I didn't know that she had declined, and that she was, you know, recently. Um, I'm still broken up about it because I had no idea. I didn't know that she was dying. Anyway, she said to my cousin, her husband, I want hospice and I'm done. I'm done fighting. I'm done doing this. I'm tired and I've had enough. And that's what she told him. And the thing is, apparently it was very difficult for him to let go and let her go. And I know what it's like, and so do you, to watch your spouse declining and deteriorating, and dying. We know this. We both know this. However, we also know how important it is, that the wishes of that person. And I will tell you that after my husband was told there is no other help, there's nothing else we can do for you, he said, I want to die at home. That's what he said. So similar to what my cousin said to her husband. During that time, during the 2 weeks that she was dying, he found it very difficult to let go. He was trying to give her oxygen. He was trying to give her whatever she could take in her. Apparently, he couldn't let go, bottom line. He told me that actually yesterday when I spoke to him. I get it. And I said to him, look, I understand how difficult it must have been, but you know what she wished for and you know what she wanted. And the same thing for my husband. As difficult as it is for us to let go of the people we love, we also know that we have to respect what they want. And they had conversations, I had conversations. And so this is really not only about what's written or what is a directive, but it's really what somebody desires and what's in their heart. Now, number one, you have to find somebody who's going to do what you've asked. Okay. And it might not be your spouse, or it might not be your child. It might be a friend who can be maybe more objective, or who will respect what you've said. I've already heard 2 stories of people, okay, whose spouses could not do what they asked. Okay, and these are two other people. It's disturbing to me, even though that person doesn't know. But to me, it's a horrible burden. I don't know if I could live with that, because that person made it clear what they want, what they don't want, how they want to live, how they want to die. It's their lives. It's not our lives. And so I think that it's very selfish to decide on something because you're not comfortable with it or because you can't do it. That's this is very personal, folks. Very personal. But I'm telling you from just the situations that I've just been in that it's disrespectful not to do what the people want and wish for. It's not
Okay.
about you anymore.
Can
It's
I interrupt?
go ahead.
Okay. So, in defense of the people who are not following their loved ones' wishes, not in all situations. Okay. In some situations, it's really, really hard.
Yes, it is.
And and you were really mean just now with your face when you said you're being selfish
That's right.
and you're not honoring their wishes. Some people aren't as strong as you might think, Lisa. And some people, after being married for all those years, might not feel comfortable with you coming home, laying in our bedroom for the last 2 weeks, and you dying in our bed. For some people, now not me, I'm just trying to think about the other people in the world who are listening right now.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a comfortable, that is not a comfortable situation. That's number one. Number two, a lot of conversations are not had. And you may not be sure what they would have wanted or what to do until that the flip of the switch one day goes by and they can't speak anymore for themselves. So you're just not sure and you have to guess as to what they might. And this is why we talk about pre-planning a lot for ourselves, right? But having said both of those things, it is important to honor what a person wants, but it's also a responsibility, not as big a responsibility as person, Lisa, that has to do it, whether they like it or not. Don't be selfish. It's the responsibility of the person with the terminal diagnosis. Now, we're not talking about trauma and, emergency situations and things like that. We've all had that. Um, but we're talking about having the serious conversations now and way ahead of time, or when you get the diagnosis, to talk to your spouse, your children, your friends, and make it clear about the things you want. So you have equal responsibility, not just the person to honor their wishes. Maybe the person to honor their wishes does not have the money to do what this person wanted. Okay. For example, I went away this week and spoke to my sister-in-law, and I told her about what I want. Okay. As far as end of life afterwards, I want just a celebration of life. There are pictures on our website where Lisa and I help guide people with celebrations of life. And those pictures are just so pretty. And they're by the water. And we chose these pictures carefully because that's what I want. If you have to wait till the spring or the summer, do it. And I want everybody to wear white, and I want somebody there playing a harp, and I want my favorite music, and I want it at dusk so that all the fairy lights and the trees, or I want it to be magical with all my favorite foods, which are really weird because it's not steak and potatoes and chicken, you know. But these are some of the things I want. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not here anymore, and that's okay with me. But I know what I don't want.
Mhm.
And I have always had a problem with funerals in general and being inside a funeral home room, being laid in a casket and having people come up one after each other to pay their respects and to look at my dead body. So I know that about me, and I know that that's not what I want. So have I told my boys? Well, I don't know. It went over their head. You don't have deep conversations with 25 and 30-year-olds. They don't want to talk about that stuff. I work for Tully Law a couple days a week doing legacy wills for all of his clients that come into the office to do their estate plans. I did a legacy will for myself. And I was pretty clear in that. It's about a 10-page document. And I was pretty clear in there. But still, that's still not enough. So when I went away, I went to Puerto Rico with my sister-in-law and my niece, and we had the conversation in a car. And I said, and this is what I want. But guess what? We were on vacation. We were looking at the rainforest. We were at the beautiful ocean. That might have went over her head too. I doubt it because she's a lot like me in that way. But I'll say it again. I'll say it again. So if it's that important to the person, it's our responsibility too, Lisa. I
I,
I
I
think.
agree with you. I agree with you. And my partner and I, we're fine for now, but we have had this discussion and we know who to put in charge because we know who's going to do what we've asked. Okay. And I know he made it very clear to me, again, a philosophy of celebration. He loves Life in Pieces. He wants that playing in the background because he thinks that's a riot. He wants a big party, in his honor. He doesn't want to lay in some grave. He doesn't even believe in cemeteries or anything. He's made that really clear to me. And I am in charge of of what happens. And I will do everything I can to honor what he wishes. And the same thing for me. I've also made it clear for me. I mean, the ashes are all the way in Chittenango Falls up in Syracuse. That's where my husband's ashes went. That's where my dog's ashes went. That was were special places. And I made it clear to him that that's where my ashes should go as well. And then
And
again,
some people don't care. Some people don't care. I'm gone, I'm gone.
yes,
I know a lot of people like that,
yes,
Lisa.
yes, that's true. That's true. And
And then that's okay. Then it's up to the other person. It's up to your family member. But going back to again, we did the show on advanced directives. We talk a lot about pre-planning, how we believe in it. However, you can only write a few sentences in there. So the most important conversation is to have these conversations, very
fi-
important.
that's right. And find the right people. Okay. Because if this is really, really important and it's not going to be something that your children are are happy with or can do or whatever, find the person, like you spoke to your sister-in-law, who will.
Now,
That's
you may be a middle-aged person and you may have chose to watch this video today because one of your parents just passed or something. We all know why we choose different videos to watch, right?
sure,
So that's all good. But as you're listening to this too, think of it as relevant to your healthy relationship with your spouse right now
sure.
or with your children now and why this is so important. Okay, now I was married to Jim for 25 years, together with him 2 years before that. When he went into the hospital from the flu, the regular flu before COVID, he could hardly breathe. He had the flu for a few days before we went into the emergency room. 10 minutes after we were there, they intubated him
Mm,
for 55 days.
mm.
Jim and I didn't get to have long conversations. He didn't get to tell me what he wanted or didn't want or how to celebrate him. But what I did know and I did remember is in humor, over the years, he would always say, when we watched a movie or something on TV and somebody was dying. I have a Brooklyn accent sometimes. I'm sorry about that. Um, he would always say, I remember this in my head. He would say, "Oh, don't ever leave me hooked up to a machine like that. That is not where I want to be." Now, it's the hospitals, that's their measures. That's what they're designed to do. That's why they're there. They're there to keep you alive and going for as long as they can and say goodbye to you, the family. And that also means if you go into a rehab or a nursing home, he was only 52 years old. So they were talking about, well, no, we can keep Jim alive, but they were going to keep him on oxygen, keep him most likely intubated. If he ever gets extubated, it takes the tube out. Um, it's almost guarantee that he'll have to be on oxygen tanks for the rest of his life. They blatantly told me that. And from the minute they told me that was the minute I thought about he was a funny, funny, funny guy. I thought about all the movies that we saw and how he said never, never. I never want to lay in a bed on a machine or on oxygen or anything. Now we never had a serious conversation about it, but all those memories came flooding back. So I knew right then and there that we were not going to just go into a nursing home and stay on machines for the rest of his life. That was not happening. That was not what he wanted.
Yep, yep.
So it was important for me to follow that wish. But a lot of times, Lisa and I have been seeing where somebody did have that wish and family knew about it, maybe. And it still doesn't matter. It's too hard for them to follow certain wishes and still want to do it their own way. And
Part
I
of
think
it,
that's what we're getting at.
part of it is letting go. Really hard to say goodbye.
Sure.
A- And that's you know, it's a part of life. We talk about this all the time, okay? No matter what the age of the person. It's like my 97-year-old. She says, I really don't like what I'm living, how I'm living, what I'm doing, but I don't know if I'm ready to go yet. Even though she really is not happy with her life and she's not
Yeah.
happy how she's living. And so, yeah, it's really hard for the person. It's also hard for family members. But like my mom, now my mom was in the hospital and with a botched, um, it was it was supposed to be a bypass and it ended up being a triple bypass because the mitral valve was leaking hard. And I mean, it was like a botched surgery. That's really what it was. Okay. 7 months of going there and watching her deteriorate, trying to get her into a nursing home so maybe she would, rehab or something. Got worse and worse. I mean, 7 months in a hospital. I can't tell you how awful that was. And as she was getting worse and worse, they were doing more and more things that I know she didn't want. I would say to them, she doesn't want this machine. She doesn't want, and then the DNR. Okay, a do not resuscitate, which was clearly in her chart. And yet she had a heart attack and they brought her back. Now, already, that's already in violation of somebody's wishes. Okay. I couldn't believe they did that. I could have sued that hospital for bringing her back like that. But I didn't. And she lasted only one more week. And I went to them and I said, she's on machines. You have said that there's no way that she's going to recover. And she doesn't want to live this way. I had to sign things. I had to get some patient advocate, all kinds of things. Maybe she didn't have all her paperwork in order, but I knew what she wanted. I knew what she didn't want. So they finally took her off the machines, and in 2 hours she died, passed away. So,
A big part of it, Lisa, is just like you said, it's that the other person can't let go.
yeah,
And we don't know when our end date is.
right.
So we all want to hang on. And I kept thinking with every procedure my husband had during those 55 days that, oh, this could be the one that works and he'll get better. So how do you know? We just don't know. But what we're talking about here is that there comes a time when, yeah, then he may not be saying it, but we do kind of know. We do kind of know this is too much. I've always believed, and maybe that's why I'm in the end of life field realm, because since I was a little girl, I always believed, and I've been grateful for this belief, to really, really know that we're all here on this earth for such a short time. Now, to a child, 100 years may be a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, 100 years is nothing. We know that at our age now, Lisa, but I knew that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And I think that as children, if we could teach them that we're here for a short time, we have to love and appreciate and be grateful for what we have for this short period that we're here. I think knowing that, though, beyond a shadow of a doubt, helps you with the surrender process a little bit more.
So you
Not
know
have to hang on, hang on, hang on,
that,
and never
no,
let go.
right, right. So Susan, you know that I've known this since I was two. I lost my mother. I was 2 years old. I don't know what was said to me in those days. They didn't have the kinds of books and the kinds of things that they have now where they teach the kids and stuff. But she was gone. And I'm sure I asked where my mother was at 2 years old. And at 4 years old, I got a new mom. But it was always part of my life that somebody could die in an instant. She was hit by a car and she was pregnant and she died immediately. And so all my life, this was not a normal thing for most kids to go through. And then at 30, my father dies suddenly on vacation. He's only 57. And so again, so for me, the preciousness of life was always there, always. And then, of course, I experienced two people who were dying, who were sick and who I had to be with at the end. So two sudden deaths and two longer term, dying processes. But the philosophy of life being precious and being each and every day and being fleeting, that was always part of my life. Now, my friends are finally catching up to me. as they're losing their parents, as they're losing, relatives and all. They
Do you
now,
think do you think maybe that it's because you haven't felt a lot of loss in your life?
yes, I do think
Maybe
that people,
that could
I
be
think that,
part of it.
yes, yes, I think that people who have not experienced death early, sometimes the first person that dies is their grandparent, and they're already in their 20s or 30s. I was 12 when my grandmother died, and I ended up going to the grave, which I didn't know at the time was the same cemetery as my biological mother was buried in. So now came all the stories and everything else attached to that. I had already known most, but I didn't know all the details. So there I was at 12, really facing the graves and all that stuff. But yeah, you're right. I mean, some people are very lucky. Maybe their pet died, but that's about it. It's not that close person. And it's like my partner. I mean, he hasn't had a lot of deaths in his family. And he has, I mean, he's been very lucky that way. Um,
So
so
whichever way it is,
yeah,
whichever way it is, we can't pinpoint
that's
who
right.
feels worse,
That's
who
right.
can't let go, who
That's
can't
right.
surrender.
Right.
We can't do that.
That's right.
But this is just a journey. We're human beings, and this is a journey that we're on. And listen, we know we have 100 years to live, although I volunteer for hospice every Saturday, and right now my patient is 104.
Wow.
And
Wow.
she sings the entire time I'm there with her. She
Wow.
was in the church choir for
Oh,
many years. So
that's
she's just
nice.
singing and humming, and she sounds like a pretty bird outside of your window. It's really
Wow.
amazing.
That's really nice. I think going back to the people who you trust and the people who will do what you want, whoever that is, a close friend, a close relative, whatever that is, I think you have to feel like, for me, I can't speak for anybody else. For me, I have to feel that I can trust whoever I've put in charge and that they will respect what I want. I'll not know, but it's something that's important to me. And for other people, it may not be. It doesn't really matter to them. They're gone, they're gone. But for those of us who plan, we're organized, we plan, um, that's important to me. And it's obviously important to my partner too, or we wouldn't have had this discussion with both of us at this stage in our lives. We've only been together 13 years. But we are partners in life and thereafter.
I
So
think lastly, we have to mention, Lisa, that it just it makes your world a lot lighter and easier and better, you know? And we all know what pre-planning is and how it makes situations easy, no matter what you're planning for. Not just your funeral plans, your household plans, your bills, your attorney papers, whatever.
yes.
But it's important for the family dynamics, right? For the family dynamics. Lisa and I have seen so many families because one sibling wants to listen to their
Mhm.
parents' wishes.
Yes.
One sibling does
Mhm.
not.
Yes.
One sibling doesn't care. I
Yes.
mean, the fights and the disconnect and the darkness that comes with a major loss in a family like that, it can be just devastating, and it could be the end of relationships,
Yes.
honestly.
Yes.
So by really just talking and having everybody being on the same page, just try to do that in your own family, and you can avoid a little bit more of a mess later on.
I do want to say that not everybody's going to feel the same way. And
Of
and
course,
it's like care. I mean, all of a sudden one person is in charge because the other people, feel differently or I don't know. I'm an only child, so everything fell on me and
it's
has always fell on me.
personalities too, Lisa.
Yes.
Personalities.
Yes.
Some
Yes.
people are more in control, some people are flexible and don't
Yes.
care and go with the flow. Other people are just angry and don't like the way everybody's dealing with it.
That's true.
So it's tough, and that's why it's the responsibility of us as being healthy, vibrant adults to have that plan in place before.
That's right.
And if it's not, then it's the responsibility as adults and family members and siblings and children and spouses, whatever, to kind of come together and be responsible and honor the person's wishes if they know what they are.
That's right. That's right. And
And on that
funerals, by the
note,
way, funerals, by the way, too. Funerals, gravesite, chapel. I mean, there's a lot of different things that people do or want. And, making that clear, the whole picture, the whole picture. Again, we consider a celebration of life. That's what we consider it, not the death of somebody. That's it.
right.
Person lives on in our memories and our legacies and everything that we do. They were part of us and they'll always be part of us, even though they're not physically here anymore. And that's so important for people to take away with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to go directly to pass go and collect $200. You don't have to go directly to a funeral home and directly to the florist and directly to, the restaurant. You don't have to do that. You can take a minute, pause and think of what your person would have loved if they don't have any plans in place,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
I hope we
Yeah.
talked a little bit about what you were thinking, Lisa, having attended all these funerals this week
Yes.
and losing some close people in your life.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
trying to do that for everybody. We're trying to touch on even very touchy subjects. So if you've experienced something that was major in your life that you think maybe we can have a conversation about and help other people and educate them on how to avoid certain pitfalls or go, take certain paths, please
Yeah.
email us, leave a comment and or share our page and Lisa and I will do a video.
We will. We will. Thank
Very
you.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks so
very
much.
much, Lisa, and I'll see you next week. We got some exciting guests coming up over the winter, so
We do. We do.
we'll see you then.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.